Motivation feels good. It gets you fired up, makes your heart race, and floods your mind with excitement and ideas. It's the spark, the energy boost, that song that gets you pumped in the gym, that late night TID talk that makes you feel like you're going to conquer the world tomorrow. Motivation is thrilling, but it's also fleeting. You can't rely on motivation because it comes and goes. Some mornings you wake up ready to attack the day, and others you can't even convince yourself to get out of bed. That's normal. That's human. The problem is when people treat motivation like it's the main engine of success. It's not. It never has been. The people who win, who build legacies, who overcome impossible odds, who turn ideas into empires, they don't rely on motivation. They rely on commitment. Commitment is different. It doesn't ask how you feel. It doesn't check the weather. It doesn't care if you're tired or if things are convenient. Commitment is a decision you make once and then honor over and over again, no matter how loud the excuses are in your head. It's a promise you make to your future self, and you keep it even when the current version of you wants to run the other way. When you're committed, your actions are no longer dictated by emotion. They're ruled by purpose. You show up when it's raining, when it's uncomfortable, when the crowd isn't cheering. You keep going not because you're inspired at the moment, but because you made a choice to keep your word, a choice to move forward, a choice to become the kind of person who finishes what they start. Look at athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, anyone at the top of their game, and you'll see the same thing. At some point, they got tired, bored, discouraged, but they didn't stop. That's not motivation, that's commitment. That's the voice in your head that says, I said I would do this, so I will, even when every part of you is screaming to quit. Motivation is like a wave, you can ride it, but it'll always crash. Commitment is the ocean. It doesn't stop. It's there every day, steady and unshaken. And that's what you need if you want to build something that lasts. People say they want success, but what they really mean is they want the feeling of success. They want the rush of winning, the attention, the rewards, but not the quiet grind it takes to earn it. That's why so many fall off. They confuse being excited with being committed. The first dies out. The second keeps you alive when nothing else does. When you're committed, you don't need to be the most talented. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't even need to feel confident every day. You just need to refuse to give up. And that refusal, that stubborn, unbreakable refusal to back down, is what creates momentum. Momentum creates results. Results create belief. And belief rewires your identity. That's the real cycle of growth. Not chasing motivation, but honoring commitment. Most people don't fail because they're not smart or capable. They fail because they never truly committed. They dipped their toes in. They said, maybe, when they should have said, no matter what. And in a world full of dabblers and quitters, a fully committed person becomes unstoppable, dangerous, unshakable. You want to be elite, then decide, not casually, not conditionally, decide in a way that nothing will break. Decide in a way that your goals are no longer negotiable. When you do that, something shifts. You stop looking for permission. You stop waiting for the right time. You stop asking yourself if you're ready. You just go. You execute. You adapt. You figure it out along the way because quitting is no longer an option. There's a reason why the people at the top don't talk about motivation. They talk about standards, about discipline, about clarity. Motivation may have started the fire, but it was commitment that kept the flame alive in the middle of the storm. Failure isn't the opposite of success, it's the foundation of it. The world wants you to believe that the people who win got everything right the first time, that they were born lucky, gifted, or just happened to be in the right place at the right time. But that's a lie sold to keep people comfortable in their excuses. The truth is, the most powerful force behind greatness is not talent, not genius, not even motivation. It's resilience. And the only way resilience is forged is through failure. You don't learn anything meaningful when everything is going well. Success doesn't test you. It doesn't stretch you. It doesn't reveal your character. But failure shows you everything. It strips away the illusions. It shows you where you're weak, where you're lazy, where you're lying to yourself. And that's a gift because you can't grow what you don't confront. Every time you fall short, every time your plan collapses, every time you think you've got it figured out and the world proves you wrong, you are being handed a chance to become stronger, but only if you stay in it. Only if you refuse to walk away. Because most people experience failure and take it as a sign to stop. They get rejected once and they retreat. They try something big, it doesn't go their way, and they shrink back into what's safe. But winners are different. Winners take failure personally, but not in the way weak people do. They don't take it as proof that they're not good enough. They take it as a challenge, as data, as direction. If you knew how many times the people you admire failed, you'd be embarrassed by how easily you give up. You'd laugh at how quickly you doubt yourself after one bad day. Because the difference between someone who reaches the top and someone who disappears halfway up the mountain isn't that the winner never fell. It's that they got up faster every time they did. They learned, they adapted. They refused to let failure define them. Resilience isn't about pretending things don't hurt. It's about refusing to let the pain stop you. It's about looking at the wreckage of your last attempt, brushing off the dust and saying, okay, let's try again. Smarter this time? That's how strength is built. Not in the victory, but in the comeback. People want the glory, but they don't want the scars. They want the spotlight, but not the struggle. They see the success story, but not the years of rejection, the late nights, the doubts, the moments alone when quitting seemed like the most logical option. Resilience is what makes sure you don't quit in those moments. It's the voice in the storm that says, keep going. This is where you earn it. Failure has a purpose. It's not the end of the story. It's the middle. It's the fire that burns off the weaknesses you didn't know you had. It's the mirror that shows you the truth. It's the battlefield where you earn the right to win. And if you try to skip it, if you try to avoid the failure, avoid the pain, you'll never get the strength that comes on the other side. Everyone wants confidence, but confidence isn't built in comfort. It's built in those moments where everything goes wrong and you still don't give up, where you prove to yourself that no matter what happens, you will show up again. That's how resilience grows, by staying in the game when most people would have walked away, by looking failure in the eye and choosing to fight anyway. So the next time you fall, and you will fall, don't waste time feeling sorry for yourself. Don't let your ego convince you that you're not cut out for it. Instead, lean into the failure, tear it apart, find the lesson, use it to sharpen your edge, because every failure is a gift wrapped in pain, and the ones who know how to unwrap it become unstoppable. One of the biggest obstacles standing between you and your dreams is the limitations that other people try to impose on you. And it's not just about what they say, it's about what they believe. People will tell you what you can't do. They'll point out your flaws, highlight your weaknesses, and remind you of all the reasons why your goals are unrealistic. But here's the truth, other people's limitations have nothing to do with your potential. In fact, the only limits that truly matter are the ones you place on yourself. From the moment you decide to pursue something different, something bigger, people will try to talk you out of it. Some will do it out of fear, projecting their own insecurities onto you. Some will do it out of jealousy, because they wish they had the courage to chase their own dreams. And some will simply do it because they don't understand your vision. But here's the reality, you are the only person who can define your limits. No one else has the power to decide what you're capable of. Not your family, not your friends, not society, and certainly not anyone who tries to make you feel small for thinking big. The most successful people in the world didn't achieve greatness by listening to the doubts of others. They achieved greatness by trusting in themselves when no one else did. They ignored the voices telling them to play it safe. And they built their success from the ground up, one decision at a time. And it wasn't easy. There were plenty of people telling them that their goals were unrealistic, that they didn't have the skills, that they didn't have the experience. But what separates the winners from everyone else is that the winners refuse to accept those limits. They chose to define their own path. When you listen to other people's limitations, you're allowing their beliefs to become your own. And when you adopt someone else's belief system, you stop seeing what's possible for yourself. You limit your vision and you lose your power. There's nothing more dangerous than giving up your dreams because someone else convinced you they were too big, too hard, or too impossible. The truth is, people who limit others often do so because they are afraid of the discomfort that comes with breaking free from their own limitations. But you are not here to live in the shadows of other people's fears. People who push you to think small are the ones who never dared to dream big. They are the ones who took the easy route, the safe route. And if you listen to them, you'll end up just like them, stuck in a life of mediocrity and regret. But you weren't born to be average. You weren't born to follow the crowd. You were born to create, to innovate, to lead, and to break through every barrier that dares to stand in your way. In order to break free from the limits placed on you by others, you need to develop a deep trust in your own vision. You need to be able to stand firm in the face of criticism, doubt, and rejection. You need to develop the courage to walk your own path, even when it feels like no one else understands. And it's not easy. It's terrifying to go against the grain. It's uncomfortable to challenge the status quo. But the path to greatness is never a smooth one. It's full of obstacles, setbacks, and doubt. But that's where you prove who you are. That's where you show the world that your belief in yourself is stronger than any limitation someone else tries to place on you. The truth is, most people live their lives based on what they're told they can do. They follow the blueprint laid out for them by society, by their parents, by their peers. They go to school, get a job, and live a life dictated by what everyone else expects. But there's a huge difference between living a life that's expected of you and living a life that's meant for you. When you let others impose their limits on you, you give up your freedom. You give up the power to shape your own destiny. And the only person who has the right to define your limitations is you. It's important to understand that other people's limitations are not a reflection of your potential. They are a reflection of their own fears, doubts, and experiences. And just because they can't see your vision doesn't mean it isn't real. The people who change the world are the ones who refuse to accept what others think is possible. They choose to dream bigger, to go further, to fight harder, and to create something entirely new. So when people try to limit you, reject their doubts. When they tell you that you can't do it, prove them wrong. When they say it's too risky, take the leap anyway. Don't let anyone else decide what you're capable of. You are the only one who gets to set your limits. And if you dare to break through those barriers, you'll see that what's possible for you is far greater than anything anyone ever imagined. Regret is a heavy weight. It's something that settles into your soul, creeping in slowly at first, and then eating away at you over time. It's the voice that whispers in your ear when you look back and wonder, what if I had done things differently? It's the sting of knowing that opportunities slipped through your fingers because you weren't willing to put in the work. And while regret is something that comes for all of us at some point in life, the key to avoiding it lies in one word: discipline. Discipline is not glamorous. It doesn't make headlines. It doesn't earn you applause, and it certainly doesn't feel good all the time. But discipline is the quiet force that stands between the life you want and the life you're willing to settle for. It's the difference between the person you dream of becoming and the person who looks back at you in the mirror with disappointment. It's the actions you take when no one is watching, when no one is cheering you on, and when it feels like the world has forgotten your goals. And it's what keeps you from being haunted by regret years down the road. Regret is the result of choices you didn't make, actions you didn't take, and opportunities you let slip by. It's the feeling that comes when you didn't have the courage to push through the tough moments, when you didn't discipline yourself enough to stick to your word, or when you took the easier path rather than the one that required sweat, struggle, and sacrifice. Discipline is the antidote to that kind of regret. It ensures that when you look back, you don't see the same regrets that others carry with them for a lifetime. The beauty of discipline is that it is built over time through small actions repeated consistently. It's waking up earlier than you want to, not because you're motivated, but because you're committed. It's working through the tough days, even when you'd rather quit, because you know that the pain you're feeling now will be nothing compared to the regret you'll feel later if you don't push through. Discipline is choosing to do the hard things today so you can look back tomorrow with pride and say, I gave it my all. I did everything I could to make my dreams a reality. When you lack discipline, you're choosing instant gratification over long-term fulfillment. It's the temptation to hit snooze on your alarm, to skip a workout, to procrastinate on a project, or to let distractions pull you away from your goals. The problem with this is that each time you choose ease over effort, you're adding to a pile of regrets that you'll eventually have to carry. Those little decisions, made over and over again, accumulate into a life that's filled with what could have been rather than what is. People often look at successful individuals and think that they're just lucky. But the truth is, successful people are disciplined. They don't make excuses. They don't let their feelings decide what they're going to do. They act based on their vision, not their mood. And this is the key to avoiding regret. They know that success isn't about luck, it's about daily discipline. The consistency to show up every single day, even when the world tells you to take a break. They understand that real progress is not made in bursts of excitement, but in the quiet, persistent actions that compound over time. Think about it when you feel a pang of regret. What is it rooted in? It's almost always in action. The feeling that you could have tried harder, done more, been more consistent. You didn't take that extra step. You didn't make that extra call. You didn't give that extra hour of focus. Those are the moments where discipline was needed the most. And the more you neglect discipline, the more you're allowing regret to creep into your life. The more you allow that feeling of, I should have done better, to become a permanent part of your mindset. What discipline offers is a future free from those haunting what ifs. When you're disciplined, you do the work even when you don't feel like it. You put in the effort when it's uncomfortable. You endure the discomfort, the struggle, the resistance, because you know that every ounce of energy you invest today will pay off tomorrow. And when you've shown up day after day, month after month, you won't be left with a heart full of regret. Instead, you'll be left with a heart full of pride and satisfaction, knowing you gave it your all. The key to building discipline is not to wait for the right moment, the right inspiration, or the right mood. The key is to act in the face of resistance. Every time you push through the resistance, you strengthen your ability to follow through. Every time you do something difficult, you reinforce the habit of discipline. And over time, you'll look back and realize that it wasn't the talent, luck, or circumstances that got you where you are. It was your unwavering commitment to doing what needed to be done, no matter how tough it got. Discipline is the thing that allows you to sleep peacefully at night, knowing you gave everything you had. It's the thing that allows you to hold your head high when you look back at your journey, knowing that you never took the easy way out, never cheated yourself, and never let your potential slip away. It's the difference between the life you dream about and the life you regret. And it's up to you to decide which one you're going to create. The road to success is often depicted as a straight line, but the truth is that it's a winding, uphill path full of obstacles, setbacks, and moments when everything seems impossible. Most people start strong, filled with enthusiasm, optimism, and the belief that success is just around the corner. But somewhere along the way, many fall off. The initial excitement fades, the challenges pile up, and the temptation to quit becomes overwhelming. But here's the thing, victory doesn't belong to the person who is the most talented or the one who has the easiest journey. It belongs to the one who refuses to quit. Persistence is the true key to success. It's the one trait that separates those who achieve their dreams from those who simply talk about them. People who persevere understand that setbacks are a part of the process. They don't let one failure, one mistake, or one rejection stop them from moving forward. They don't let discouragement define them. Instead, they use every challenge as fuel to keep pushing forward. Persistence is the ability to keep going even when every sign points to failure, when it feels like the universe is conspiring against you. It's the quiet strength to keep taking one step after another when the finish line seems miles away. When you're persistent, you develop a mindset that sees obstacles as opportunities. A challenge becomes a puzzle to solve, not a wall to stop you. And with every setback, you gain something valuable, experience, wisdom, resilience. It's not about winning every battle. It's about staying in the game long enough to win the war. Success comes to those who learn how to turn their failures into lessons and their challenges into stepping stones. It's not about avoiding failure. It's about learning how to rise every time you fall. There's a reason why the phrase, try and try again, has stood the test of time. It's because success is never about doing things perfectly the first time. It's about doing things repeatedly with more commitment, more resolve, and more determination. Each time you try again, you build more strength, more capability, and more understanding of what works and what doesn't. The people who make it are the ones who find a way to get back up time and time again, no matter how many setbacks they face. It's important to realize that nothing worth having comes easy. The road will always be harder than you think. The journey will test your patience, your willpower, and your faith in yourself. But it's in these moments of doubt and difficulty that persistence is most needed. If you give up too soon, you'll never know how close you were to the breakthrough. You'll never know what you were capable of if you just push through for one more day, one more week, one more month. The difference between success and failure is often just a matter of time. Those who persist long enough will eventually break through. They will find their moment of success because they refuse to give up when it mattered most. Persistence also means pushing through the times when the results aren't immediately visible. There will be periods when you do everything right, put in the work, and yet nothing seems to change. Your efforts might go unnoticed, or you might feel like you're not making any progress. But this is where persistence matters most. Real success takes time. It's the compounding of small, consistent actions over time that lead to extraordinary results. The seeds you plant today might not sprout tomorrow, but if you keep nurturing them, they'll grow. The people who succeed don't quit when they don't see results immediately. They keep going because they know that every step counts, even the ones that seem to take them nowhere. The idea that success comes to those who are the best or the most talented is a myth. Yes, talent can help, but persistence beats talent, especially when talent doesn't put in the work. Persistence gives you the edge when others quit. It's the willingness to keep going when everyone else is walking away. It's what allows you to reach your fullest potential because it keeps you in the game long enough to develop your skills, your mindset, and your capacity to handle whatever life throws at you. The people who succeed are those who outlast the failures, the doubts, the setbacks, and the naysayers. They simply refuse to quit, and in the end, that's what leads them to victory. Every successful person has faced challenges that made them question their ability to succeed. They've had moments of self-doubt, days when they didn't know if they could keep going, but they kept going anyway. They understood that persistence wasn't just about achieving success. It was about becoming the person they needed to be to achieve that success. It's about growing stronger with every failure, more resilient with every disappointment, and more determined with every setback. So when you find yourself on the verge of giving up, remember this: victory comes to those who persist. Success is not a matter of being the fastest or the most talented. It's a matter of staying in the game long enough to win. It's about continuing to show up, no matter how many times you fall, no matter how many times the world tells you no. The true winners are the ones who are willing to persist through the hard times, who refuse to let anything stand in their way. If you want to succeed, don't look for the shortcut. Look for the strength to persist, because in the end, persistence is the one thing that will carry you across the finish line. In life, the journey towards success is never a smooth ride. It's filled with challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But it's in these moments that true growth happens. The key to achieving greatness isn't found in luck or in talent alone, but in the ability to persevere despite obstacles. Winners don't quit because they know that the toughest times are where the greatest lessons are learned and the greatest strength is built. Resilience is forged through failure, and it's the drive to rise each time you fall that sets you apart. Others may place limitations on you, but your potential is only defined by your own belief in yourself and the actions you choose to take. Discipline, though sometimes difficult, prevents the regret of what could have been by ensuring you stay on course even when it's hard. And above all, victory comes to those who persist, those who continue pushing forward even when success seems far away. It's not about avoiding failure or seeking shortcuts. It's about staying in the game long enough to win. In the end, the only thing that can truly hold you back is the decision to give up. So keep going, keep striving, and let the pursuit of your goals be defined not by ease, but by your unwavering commitment to never quit